Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another video. In this speed build, I'm building a treehouse over a waterfall in Granite Falls. Building this was a lot of fun and I'm so happy that I'm finally here with a treehouse because last year I attempted to build a treehouse and it never really worked out. I think there were actually several attempts. I've never shown you these attempts. I didn't record them back then. I just tried to come up with a fun design. But finally I'm here with a treehouse. I didn't use any CC as always. I used a lot of debug objects. I also used the tool mod, and of course I'm going to explain you how I built this, and we are going to jump right in now and I'm going to explain what's going on here. To get this out of the way right away, because I know that some of you are going to ask me this, the waterfalls are debug objects. They are part of the game, it's not CC, and they are part of Discover University and Island Living. There are 3 waterfalls in total in this game. 2 came with Discover University and 1 with Island Living. You can find them in the debug menu by entering the cheat bb.show live edit objects. Then you enter world into the search bar, you press enter, and there you will find all your debug objects. To find them quicker, I always advise to filter by pack, so just filter by Discover University or Island Living depending on which waterfall you want to use, and then you are going to find them quicker. They are pale blue and the background is white, so it can be hard to see them at first, so you really have to take a close look to find them sometimes. So the big one in the center, where I merged 2 of them together, these waterfalls are part of Discover University. There's another one which I didn't use. It's super tall and long, so I only used this one Discover University waterfall. I placed 2 of them, and this is the centerpiece of this cliff that I created here. So I have this big waterfall in the center, and then I only use some of the Island Living waterfalls at the bottom and just in some areas, just to have some other waterfall areas basically. So it all looks balanced and nice, and I used the terrain tools to create this cliff which goes all around the lot, so I just raised the terrain. And a good thing to keep in mind, when you place your waterfall and then you raise the terrain, it doesn't affect the waterfall, luckily. So sometimes when you raise the terrain, other objects will jump up and you will raise them alongside the terrain. But this didn't happen here, so I was able to hide the edges of this object in the terrain. I plan to use a lot of rocks, so at this point I knew that it wouldn't matter, and I just decorated the whole area. The whole landscaping is really over the top. Of course, I use my beloved base game bush, the super flat bush. I use it to hide some slopes, and here at this point I'm just trying to hide the terrain, and I try to create a fun cliff. For one of my last speed builds, the Canyon Mansion, I created a canyon using some Strangerville debug rocks, and here I also used a lot of rocks. To be honest, I don't even know to which pack most of them belong. I just know that the small long ones, which I used at the edge of the pool right underneath the waterfalls, they are base game. But the other rocks, I have no idea, but you can find all of them in the debug menu. I then used a lot of trees, and these trees are part of Auto Retreat. I built this in Granite Falls, as I said, and Granite Falls belongs to Auto Retreat. This is the world which came with the pack. And I wanted to stay within the whole theme, so I decided to use the trees. Unfortunately, only some of them are in the regular tree menu, so most of them are only in the debug menu, and I used a big tree which I then sized up even more, so I would have a tree in the center to create my tree house. And here I'm finally working on the actual tree house. So I'm done with the landscaping. I'm going to make a couple of changes later, but this is the tree house. But I was running into a couple of problems, which is why this was essentially a rebuild of the house that I built at first. The shape and the whole look, the whole thing is identical, but I had a couple of problems. So what I like to do is I build a room and then put a flop piece on top, and then when you get rid of the room at the bottom, you can use the arrows to move the flop piece up and down. And this way you have a floating flop piece. You could create a floating room, you could create a bridge, you just don't have this annoying foundation underneath. So this is what I did here, because clearly I wanted my room to float so it would look like a tree house. I did that, but then I reached the floor limit very quickly. I wanted to build another room on top, and then it told me that I can't place any rooms over the fourth floor or something. And I have no idea really how this happened, because I just built my room and then another room on top. However, I then got rid of this and I rebuilt it, part of it off camera, because it was the same process. I have no idea what went wrong. However, it finally worked out, because I definitely wanted to add more rooms on top, as you saw in the beginning where you could see the finished build. I wanted that to be multiple floors and areas, so it would look just more interesting. Also, as you just saw in the first version, which clearly went wrong, you could see the tree in the center. So it's a tree house, so of course I wanted to place a huge tree in the center, and I was inspired by Ark actually. I've been playing a lot of Ark Survival Evolved recently, and there is a biome called the Redwood Forest, and you can build some round bases inside a tree, like a tree house base, and this is what inspired me. I wanted to build a tree house for the longest time, as I said, and finally I thought, yes, you could do something like this. So I wanted to have my huge tree in the center. I didn't want to have a super complex kind of tree house where you have different branches and then you place a part of the house on top of that branch or anything. Just one big tree in the center, and that's it. For this I used a debug tree, which is part of Auto Retreat. And then it was visible. So not only did I run into the problem that I couldn't place any more floors on top, but I also had a very visible tree in the center. Of course, this makes sense. The tree is there. It should be visible probably. But then when you are actually playing on this lot in this house, the tree would always be in the way. It would always obstruct your view. It would be super annoying. And then in the new version, this didn't happen. I guess because the tree is probably placed on top of the roof. It's as if it sits on this one floor, and then when you go down to the other floors, this doesn't happen. So when you download the lot now, when you play in it, when you take a look at this, the tree is not visible. When you go to the top floor and you take a look at the whole tree house from the outside, you will see that the tree goes down and through the whole building. But then when you go, I don't know, let's say to the living room or anything, it's invisible. This is not really realistic, but for gameplay purposes, I think it's kind of a good balance and a compromise between a super crazy over-the-top build and a manageable, playable lot. Because let's be real, no one wants to play in a house with a huge tree in the center. Of course, you could just build around that tree, but I think this is, as I said, a good compromise. So this house consists of two main sections. We have the main part on the left side, which is also bigger than the rest of the build, and then a slightly smaller version of the area on the left side on the right side. Here at this point I only have this balcony going all around the build, and this balcony is connecting both areas, but then later on I decided to expand the build, so I added another area on top, so the whole shape was a bit different. This not only made the build look more interesting, but I also wanted to include more space. In this house we have 3 bedrooms, but one bedroom is a kid's room, and I squeezed in 2 beds, so there's space for 2 kids, for twins or anything. Squeeze in is not really the correct term for this, because it's a big kids room. There's a lot of space, so enough space for 2 beds. And then we have 4 bathrooms in total. One is at the bottom for everyone, just a regular bathroom for anyone to use in the right next to the living room, and then every single bedroom is an ensuite, so each bedroom has its own bathroom. I also used a little trick to create these octagon-shaped rooms on top of the other rooms. So for some reason this always confuses me. So when you build a room like this in The Sims, sometimes the roof doesn't fit. So I just used a very simple trick here. As you saw, I did this earlier, not here at this point. I just placed a roof on top of the room, and then I used the roof as the guideline for my room. So I just used the wall tool and I just built my room in the the exact shape of the roof. Then I deleted the roof and then I placed another one on top. And this is just a super simple trick to create these rooms. Sometimes, I don't know why, maybe I'm the only one, but this can be so confusing. Then the shape is wonky, the roof doesn't fit, and you make a mistake. I don't know, but this was just a very quick and easy fix. At least for bigger rooms, I think this can be super helpful when you build a very small octagon shaped room or anything, just like I did here to create this hole in the ground where I placed a glass roof. Then it's like not a problem, but sometimes when you build huge octagon shaped rooms, it can be confusing to just match the roof shape with the room. And yeah, I created a hole to have the tree go through the ceiling basically, and I then added a glass roof. Again, this is not really realistic, but the glass roof is almost invisible and it closed the room underneath. Otherwise it wouldn't be counted as a closed room, which is not good because of weather and the light is weird and all that, so I had to make sure that the room is closed. So I just added a glass roof on top of that hole, so the glass roof is technically inside the tree. I also used a basecamp fountain, which I placed on top of both roofs, so it looks like some type of opening for the tree to go in. This just made it look more seamless, more beautiful, because you could just tell that it's a tree which is glitched inside a roof or anything. It wasn't really a good look, so this sized down fountain, I sized it up actually, it was just perfect. This way I was able to hide this little area where the tree is entering the roof, and also it had the perfect color. There are different swatches. It's just a little basecamp fountain which you can place. I think Sims can actually use it to make a wish or anything, but here it's just decoration. Also, there are amazing news. The very talented Simkim is back with her amazing builds and speed builds. So Simkim was on a hiatus and now she's back, and when I saw her tweet, I was super excited. I love her speed builds. I love anything she creates, and she's such a sweet person. I've always looked up to her. I still do. She's just so amazing. She was here before I even arrived on YouTube, basically. She is amazing, and back then, I talked about this before, she gave me a shout out when my channel was still very small, and she just gave me, she helped me a lot. My channel gained a little bit of traction for the first time, and I will be forever grateful for this. Like, she believed in me, and there's so many simmers, so many amazing simmers, there's so much talent, so much talent, and it can be very hard to get noticed in the beginning, especially when you are making speed builds, because there are just so many speed builds, so many amazing channels, and it can be very hard to just kind of start. It's tough in the beginning, and she just noticed me and she just believed in me, even though my channel was still so small and I don't know, no one really knew me, and she just gave me that leap of faith basically, and I will be forever grateful for that. And I really like to talk about how amazing Simkim is, because she's my idol basically. So she's back, so I just wanted to inform you that she's back so you can check out her amazing videos in case you haven't noticed that she's back. So that's amazing news. And in case you don't know who Simkim is, because maybe you have started to play while she was on her hiatus or anything, then I totally recommend that you go check out Simkim, because she's just the best. So here, my friends, I'm working on the interior, and I combined a dining table with 2 Discover University bookshelves and then placed a dine out wall decoration behind the dining table, and then added a basecamp shelf on top to create this fancy desk. So it's kind of a custom desk. I just wanted to have something fancy in this room, also because the shape is so weird and interesting for a whole living area. I mean, I'm also going to include a kitchen there and the dining room, so I really wanted to use the space on the walls. The centerpiece in this room is the fireplace. What I just did was I deleted the wall behind the fireplace. This way I could place the TV without it snapping to the wall so I could place it freely. I sized down, I raised it, and I placed it right in front of the fireplace mantle, and then I just rebuilt the wall, and that's it. So if you would pick up that TV now, it would snap to the wall again, so I wouldn't touch it. You have to do the same thing, just delete the wall, place the TV again, and then rebuild the wall. The kitchen is part of Cool Kitchen stuff, and I wasn't sure which color to use first. I used white to create a bit of a contrast. The wall color is super dark here, then changed the wall color, so I wasn't really sure which colors to use. I wanted to have a super dark woody interior because it looks like there's just so much wood on the outside, like some type of luxurious cabin tree house or anything, so I wanted to continue the theme on the interior, which is why I chose this floor and the wall color. But at the same time I wanted this to look modern and just fancy, so it was hard to find the correct colors for this. The rock wallpaper is part of Discover University, and I used it to create a bit of a contrast, and this is the bathroom at the bottom that I talked about earlier for everyone to use. So all the other bathrooms belong to bedrooms, so this is just the bathroom that anyone could use, your guests, just anyone. And I really tried to squeeze it in there because, to be honest, when I started to work on this, I forgot the bathroom, and then I realized, oh no, I definitely want to have a bathroom at the bottom. I don't want the Sims to walk up all the time when they are spending time in the kitchen or in the living room. So I just created this quite small bathroom at the bottom, and this here is one of the bedrooms. Again, really modern. I went for a different wall color for the bedrooms. I chose the same floor, it's part of Get Famous, but then I used this wallpaper, which looks super cool. I love the gray color. I actually plan to paint my walls gray at home because it just looks so amazing. I don't even know to which pack it belongs. I think it might be Parenthood, but I could be wrong here. I created both bedrooms completely differently. I used different beds, so they look just different, but the layout is kind of similar because the space wasn't that big. There are doors on both sides, and it has almost the same shape. It's just mirrored, so I had to use almost the same layout when it comes to the position of the bed, for example. And for one bedroom, I placed a dine-out table behind the bed, and then I used a Moschino stuff pack nightstand to just create, I don't know, just some unique and creative nightstand, so it looks a bit more interesting. And this here is the kids' room. It looks really colorful. I used a sized up rug just to have a really unique looking carpet. I mean, there's no carpet like this in the game, so once again I used the wood floor, which I used all over the house, and then I just included this rug. I placed 2 beds. As I said earlier, it could be 4 twins, for example, depending on what type of family you want to play. I used movie hangout curtains. It's very pink, very colorful, very happy. I used the same dine-out table that I used for the bedroom that I built before this bedroom. And then I decided to simply use a dining table. I then used a bookshelf. I placed it in the center as some type of divider. So it's just one table for 2 kids. So everything comes in pairs, basically. The beds, the kids maybe, and then the computers, just so every Sim in this room who lives in this room has enough space. I also placed 2 of these cute cushions that your Sims can sit on. And this is the home gym. I thought that this would be just perfect to have some kind of luxurious aspect because the build is super crazy, very over the top, very luxurious. It's like a mansion, not a regular treehouse, nothing that you would probably ever see in real life. So I really wanted to go all out here, and I included a home gym. And this is it, guys. As always, I included screenshots. I included screenshots of the floor plan, so you can just see what's going on. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a perfect weekend, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.